In this episode of Dentside Depot, we are finally getting started on our next project, and yep, you guessed it, it's going to be the 79 Dearborn Ford. So let's look it over, see what we're going to do, and I'm going to tell you everything that the project entailed. All right, and I can tell you I am extremely excited about restoring this truck. It has an awesome history, both how it was manufactured and the person that owned it, and it is just an incredible piece. And amazingly, it does really not have that much rust, and it has almost all the factory aftermarket pieces that were added to it. Now, what makes this truck special, first of all, is that it was modified by Coachman Industries, a subsidiary called Consolidated Leisure Industries, that added all of the extra cool stuff that you can see to the truck. They added the stripes going down the side, they added the turbine wheels, they added the front push bar and the lights, the roll bar in the back. The bed would have had a tonneau cover, but it's currently missing. Things really get cool on this truck is the inside. We have captain's chairs, an ice chest in the middle, and a bunch of other gadgets that really make it unique and different from really every other factory truck that you would see, as you can see with all the stuff that is on it. Now, what's really cool about this truck is it is a one-owner truck. It was owned by a Navy SEAL, and obviously he took very good care of this truck for his entire life. So for me, also being in the military, this is a special project for me to be the one that gets to bring it back to life and keep the tradition of this truck alive. And I have every single insurance card and documentation from the day it was born, so I have everything that shows that this is a one-owner truck, and it is absolutely the real deal. You can even see here, I bought the truck in Annapolis, and it still had the gentleman's base sticker on the bumper of the truck. I'm sure you want to know what we're going to do with this truck. Well, we are going to have some sponsors join us on this truck, which is exciting, but this truck is going to be completely torn apart, but I am not going to ruin the original paint. This is going to be a preservation style restoration. So the body is going to come off the frame. The entire interior is going to come out and be cleaned, and what can be saved will be saved. The main pieces will all be saved, like the door panel cards, regardless of the condition, the seats and everything else. Probably we'll have to replace the carpet, obviously. Some other soft parts will have to be replaced as well. We're going to pull the original engine out of it. We're going to do some minor work to the engine to just make sure that it's in good shape, and then we're going to just pop it all back in. The chassis will be completely done, sanded down and painted, and then we will see what we do with the wheels and tires and everything else. But the plan is to move very quickly on this truck and to get it back on the road for the first time in many years. It has been sitting for well over a decade at this point. That being said, let's get started on pulling this truck apart for episode 1. Okay, so that concludes phase 1, which is removing the front clip off, which I always like to do first, particularly because the core sport can potentially be a big pain. Next up, I'm actually going to pull the bed off first instead of the cab. I usually do the cab first. Okay, and the bed is now separated from the frame, leaving the only task left is to pull the cab off, and everything is separated now. Unfortunately, the back of the bed is a little bit worse than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to be able to get away with just doing patches and maybe one cross member replacement on the front, but at this point, it's bad enough. This bed is really weird how it rusted, because the gentleman that had it filled the whole thing up with trash, and there was a rubber mat, and then there was like padding underneath. So it was wet all the time in the bed. We have a unique rusting pattern here where the side of the bed is perfectly rust free and in really great condition, but the inside of the bed is bad, and that doesn't usually happen like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate the sides in 2 whole pieces. The roll bar was the only thing keeping this bed together. That's why it didn't get damaged, the sides anyway. And we're going to replace that with an Auto Metal Direct center section. No big deal, a little bit more work, but then it'll be a perfect bed. Our frame looks very good. It has the typical pitting that you would see in the Northeast. So let's go ahead and get the cab off this thing, see what it looks like. Okay, so now we have the cab separated from the frame, and that all went fine. No real surprises with any rust on the cab thus far. I may end up doing cab mounts and front floorboards on both sides just because it's getting there, but there's really no rust in the back. The back cab corners are good. The top of the roof is good. These are gonna have, I think the sunroofs are leaking, so I'm gonna have to pull those out and definitely reseal it, but you can see we have no rust. I'll pull the seam sealer out and put new seam sealer in, but no rust anywhere. I mean, it looks pretty darn good on the cab. This is my first time actually looking at the frame at all. Frame looks pretty good. Just the typical pitting that you would see. So really no surprises here with any of this as well. So I'm gonna do some things with some PB Blaster and have some lunch and then come back out and we'll get this engine out and then call it a day and call it a video here. Okay, well, as you can see, we have the whole truck taken apart. I'm just going to pull the transmission out here really quick. You can see the center section of the bed I already cut out just to see what it was like. But this truck is now ready for the axles to come out, which I will do off camera, and then get the frame out for blasting and all of that fun stuff. This has been episode 1 of the Dearborn project. If you like this episode of Dentside Depot, remember to like and subscribe and keep restoring those classic trucks.